I was trying to figure out if I should sell my house or rent my house. I'm thinking of buying a new one. And so I couldn't find any good sheets out there or Google Docs out there that really tried to summarize the process for me. I'm sure they already exist. So I made one myself, and I'm going to make it available for you in the description on a Google Doc. Essentially, I'm going to give you numbers that sort of make it generic just to make life easy. We're taking a look at costs in the orange. Anything yellow means it's variables that you can enter. Anything gray is output that you really shouldn't touch. And then returns are in the green. So let's say you bought a house for $100,000 and you did an addition, so you did $7,000 worth of investments in it. What happened is, and then let's say there's a homeowners association fee. It might not be an HOA fee, it might be a realtor fee, but let's say that is $180 a month. So the fixes are percent. Let's say that your fixes are about 5% of the monthly rent. Let's say your rent is for this house $1,100. That's what you can get for it in this neighborhood. And then the taxes, let's make the taxes $2,500. That's how much you're going to have to pay as the homeowner. And appreciation over a period of time, let's say appreciation of the house is 3%. That's it. You typed in those numbers. Now you have a clear statement of how much you're going to get back. You see that here there are the monthly costs, HOA, how much it's going to cost. Your fixes, 5% of your rent is $55. Your taxes, $208 a month. Here it's just extrapolated for annual. So year 1, year 2, and I usually go 8 years. 8 years is a reasonable amount. You can go 9, 10, you can go 11, 12, but 8 is like within the horizon of what I can usually see. Fixes, that's the 5% annualized, and the taxes are the taxes annualized. So you can see that the returns you're looking at, once again, monthly returns and yearly returns, you're looking about $13,200. And I know that this is all more of a stagnant snapshot picture of here's how the numbers are, and that changes every couple of years. You're probably going to increase the rent. Now, there's a lot of things that change, so I just tried to make it as simple as possible. The totals are at the bottom, so you can see that the totals for your 8 years are going to be $17,000 for either your realtor fees or your homeowner association fees. Your fixes are going to be about $5,200, and then your taxes are $20,000 over that period of time. And each of these is variable. Once again, this is just meant to give you a quick glimpse as to what it could be. It's conservative sort of on every side, so maybe it's neutral across the board. The returns, the total investment, what the total investment does is it actually takes a look at your initial investment, your additions, and your investments throughout. And your investments throughout are your homeowner association, your fixes, and your taxes. And so you have $149,000 over the 8 years that you invested in this. The 8-year value of the house is actually taking a look at your appreciation over a period of time. And so your house, it's a very basic appreciation model. It's not taking a look at complex appreciation model. So let's say the house is now worth $124,000 at year 8, and the rental return is $105,000 over those 8 years. So your dollar return, if you essentially take your total worth of the value of the house at 8 years and the return on the rent, minus the total invested, in this instance is about $80,000. That's a 54% return, or an annual return of 4%. So that, now that we finished all of that, it actually doesn't look that good. It's not that good at the end, because if you bought a house that was $200,000 and you had a 4% mortgage on that house, you're paying higher at the end. You're losing money in this process if you should have just sold this house and paid it up front for the other house. At least that's my initial gut instinct. I probably need to do a couple more calculations. And if you thought you were going to get a 10% annual return, you forgot about the HOA fees or the fixed fees. This is why economies of scale is so important. If you're renting one house, these things are more expensive for you. Perhaps that if you're renting 10 houses, you can sort of spread out the risk, and you could make the fixes 2%, and you can make the HOA fees $80. And so now your return is 6%, a little bit more favorable. But you needed economies of scale of having multiple sets of places that you're renting out, and you're trying to divide out the risk and divide out the problems across those places and increase your ability ability to actually, so instead of calling in a mechanic once every 3 months, a plumber, I should say, not a mechanic, you're not renting out a car, but calling a plumber once every 3 months, you have that plumber more regularly and they give you better costs. But think about it. So if everything else is the same and you only have the one house, it would take you about $2,000 to get near 10%, $2,000 monthly. And that's a very expensive rent, right? So let's say $2,200, 10%. It takes you $2,200 a month. That's not cheap at all. So really consider about renting versus selling your initial home. Now, of course, each time you buy a new home, if you're just selling, this gets into a whole new equation. Should I rent or buy? If you're selling a house every 5 years, that means you're buying a house every 5 years. That's a completely different process because you're paying the taxes on that transaction every single time. Perhaps you should yourself just rent a house as opposed to buying one.